Hey there, Green Meadows families and friends, and welcome back to Zooming In on Green Meadows. I know we've had a few weeks off, but we are back and ready to get going with our interviews. You may notice the setup looks a little different for this episode, and that is definitely for a reason, as we have a very special guest joining us for today's Zooming In. Why don't you come on in? Hello everyone, I'm so excited to be joining you today. I can't wait to answer some of your questions. As you can see, we have Mr. Miller joining us for this episode of Zooming In. Since he is usually just on one side of the camera, we thought we would invite him in to do the intro in person. I am pretty excited to finally be answering some of these questions rather than just asking them all the time. Yeah, do you have any idea what is going to be asked of you? No clue, but I bet the questions are going to be good. I usually put a lot of thought into them, and I figure this week won't be any different. Oh, I'm sure they will be. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before you head off to get ready to record the episode? I just want to thank you all for watching, and I know we would both really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel and like this video. Of course you would remember to ask people to subscribe, even when you are the guest. Well, you should probably head on out and get ready to record. We'll be looking forward to hearing your answers. Sure thing. I'll see you guys soon. Hey, that's my... Never mind. Well, hello there.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Surprise, I am the secret staff member of the week. It's so exciting to be that person. So things are a little bit different this week. You may notice that there's a student on the screen with me. That is because I have 3 tag students that are going to be joining me today to ask me the questions. And I'm super excited that they're able to do that. They've been working with me after school to do some of the videos, and they get to really be a participant this week. So they are going to ask the questions of me today. I'm still going to answer the questions, and they've been prepped a little bit and know what's going to go on. So without that being said, let's have our first question.
The first question is, you told us this week that you have only taught in Frankfurt. What jobs have you had in the Frankfurt schools?
Yeah, so right out of college, I got my first job here in the Frankfurt schools. I was at a job fair in Muncie at Ball State University, where I went to college, and they had a lot of schools there to interview all kinds of different people. Because when I was younger, we didn't have such a shortage of teachers. We actually had a ton of teachers, and we all kind of were looking for the same jobs. So a lot of schools came to us, and we interviewed there. And I interviewed with a principal from the former Kiger Elementary. If you don't know where Kiger was, it was on 3rd Street here in Frankfurt. And that is where I got my first job. And my first job was to teach a 4th, 5th grade split class. I had the students all day. They were half of them were in 4th grade, half of them were in 5th grade. So I had to really focus on what I was doing to teach those kids. And I did that for 3 years. And then that building closed, and we came here to Green Meadows. And since I have been at Green Meadows, I have taught 5th grade. And then I switched to media specialist. And I have been doing media specialist now for 10 years, except this year's kind of crazy. And this year I have been doing media specialist. And now I'm also doing 5th grade in the afternoons. And even for a couple weeks, I was helping out as an interventionist. So I've had a lot of jobs in Frankfurt, but I've only worked at the Frankfurt schools. So good question.
Yeah. The next question is, you said the only country you have been to is Canada. Are there other countries you would like to visit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Canada is definitely the only country I have visited outside of the United States. Um, I got to go there when I was in college, and I was a chaperone for the high school band trip at the high school that I attended. And I went as a chaperone for their field trip, where we went to um, Ontario, Canada. And some people got to go up in the CN Tower, but I'm too afraid of heights to go up in that tower. It's like half a mile tall and crazy, and there's an elevator on the outside of the building, and that's just not my thing. So yes, I've been to Canada. Um, I think a couple of the countries that I'd like to visit. Um, I've learned a lot about Mexico just being here in Frankfurt and having a lot of students that have lived there. So I think I would like to go visit there. Um, I would like to go through Canada again, just a different part of it. One of my dreams for my life is to drive all the way to Alaska and camp all the way up. And I doubt Mrs. Miller would be interested in doing that with me. So that may never happen, but it would be cool. And I'd see a different part of Canada. I'd like to see Australia. It's pretty far away, totally different country. Maybe stay away from some of the spiders and big snakes they've got over there. And then I think some parts of Europe would be super cool to visit. I studied French in high school, which doesn't help me a whole lot in my teaching career, but it was a cool language to study. I think visiting France, and I could talk to Miss Corey, who just got to go there. That would be neat too. So there's lots of places I would like to visit.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for asking those two questions of me, Mia. We've got a couple more students that are going to step in. So we'll take a break here, get a quick ad in, and switch to our next student.
Do you need a new outfit for Move It Mondays? Are you looking for a t-shirt or sweatshirt to wear to school during the week? We have the perfect place for you. Just visit the link below and take a look at our BSN Sportswear store for some ideas.
Well, hello, Jackson. How are you today?
Doing good. You?
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you here helping me out with this zooming in today. I know that you have two more questions for me. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and ask me the first question you have.
Question number 3 for you is the fact of you having a rough time whitewater rafting was crazy. Can you explain a little bit more?
Sure. So the fact was that I had a near-death experience while whitewater rafting. That does sound pretty crazy. I was a Cub Scout in elementary school and a Boy Scout in middle school, and I think I stopped right before I got to high school. And we got to take a trip to a camp in West Virginia where we got to do a lot of fun things. I was too young to do some of the things. I was just 13 then. So uh, some of the activities that people participated in, I wasn't able to go to. But one of the things I was able to go to was whitewater rafting in the New River Gorge, which is a fantastic experience if you've never done it. I highly suggest that if you guys ever get the chance to go, you actually try it. And I would do it again. So the story goes like this. We were in a calm part of the river. And a lot of times in a calm part of the river, the tour guides or river guides like to flip the raft on purpose so that we can all kind of go for a swim, float down the river for a little while, and just have a little bit of fun. So the idea is everybody stows away their paddle that you use to make your way down the river. You stow those in the raft, and then they hook a rope to the front and they run over the back. And as they run over the back, everybody jumps off the raft, and then it goes upside down. Well, I happened to be the person that was on a break because we had one too many people on our raft for everybody to be paddling the whole time. So I was kind of in the middle of the raft, just sitting in the center seat. And when the river guide ran back and flipped the canoe, we all went into the water, and I was in the water. And then I popped up underneath the raft, and they teach you to go like this to find your way to the edge of the raft. And I went like this, and I got to the edge of the raft, and then I stopped. And I was like, well, this is pretty strange. So I tried it again, still got to the edge and stopped. So a couple of my fellow Boy Scouts at the time were certified lifeguards and were underneath the water trying to find me because they were scared that I had floated down the river somewhere or I was stuck under a rock underneath the water. Turns out I was floating down just fine. Well, they found me underneath the raft and they popped up and they said, okay, we're going to try and get you out of here. So they pulled on my legs and I didn't go anywhere. And I was underwater, like yelling at them to stop because it was pretty crazy. And when they were pulling on me, I was under the water and couldn't breathe. When they popped back up, it turns out my life vest, which is made to save you, had a handle of one of the paddles had gone into my life vest and turned and locked. So when I went so far, the paddle was stopping me from being able to get out from underneath the raft. So we unbuckled my life vest, released the paddle, and I popped up out of the water, and everything was just fine. So pretty crazy time, but like I said, I would do it again. So thank you for the question. What's the next one you've got for me, Jackson?
The next question I'm gonna ask you is, you said you've had been in a ton of parades. Did you ever win any awards from them? And why were you in so many?
Well, I was in a lot of parades because I was involved in a lot of activities. So, as I said earlier, I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout, and we were in parades for that. I was also in band in middle school and high school and 1 year of college. So, we would march in parades and play music. Um, as a Boy Scout, I never won any awards for being in the parade. I think as a high school band member, our band may have won a performance in the parade one time, but I'm not 100% sure, so I can't claim it. But yeah, I've walked a lot of miles in parades, including every home football game my freshman year of college. I was in the marching band then, and we would walk down the street in Muncie and walk all the way to the college football game and play during the game, and then walk all the way back after the game. So it was a good time. I enjoyed being in them, and it was always fun. Sometimes it was a little hot, but that's okay. And then I've also been in parades since then as a Green Meadows staff member. I've walked in some of the homecoming parades and things like that too. So lots of parades.
Sounds like fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for asking me those two questions, Jackson. I know we have one more person that's going to ask us some questions. So I thank you for being here and helping us out. And if you wouldn't mind, we are now going to have our last person ask us some questions.
Did you know we have a book fair coming up? The Green Meadows Book Fair will take place between January 30th and February 10th. Be on the lookout for more information to come home soon. You can also stay up to date with information released on our social media.
All right. Well, we've got one more student here joining us. We have one question left, and she gets the privilege of asking it. So, Celeste, if you wouldn't mind asking me the last question that you three have for me today.
Our fifth question is somehow you have had jobs driving a train and running a roller coaster. How did you get those jobs, and have you had any other interesting jobs?
Yeah, those jobs sound pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a tricky fact. The train that I operated and the roller coaster that I ran were at the Indianapolis Zoo. So if you've ever been to the Indianapolis Zoo, they have a train that goes around kind of the back area of the zoo and shows you the wild or the African Plains area. And then there's also a roller coaster there, a very small one that kids can ride on if they buy a ticket. And I worked at the Indianapolis Zoo a few summers while I was in college, and I would come home and I worked there. It was a really fun job. I had a lot of responsibilities there. I worked in the rides department. So we had the train to drive, the roller coaster to operate. We had a simulator that we sold tickets for, but that was operated by a different company. We had a carousel, and we took pictures of people and then put them in with like animals using a green screen. Lots of different things. And I got to do all of those except for the simulator. And it was always fun. I got to see new people. We'd have kids come in on field trips and all kinds of stuff. And part of my responsibility was to drive the train and operate the roller coaster, make sure it was safe, check all the lap belts, and make sure everybody was safe and having a great time. And it was a load of fun. I miss doing it sometimes, but I also like my summers off. So, as for having other interesting jobs, I do have one. I used to work at every Indianapolis Colts game. I worked there for about 10 years at the RCA Dome, which doesn't exist anymore. And for those 10 years, I would sell T-shirts and footballs and keychains and programs at a stand inside of the RCA Dome. So I, for about 10 years, was at every home Colts game, but I think I only saw about 4 plays on the field because I was so busy selling T-shirts and doing those things that we couldn't go out and watch the game. So I had to listen to it on the radio from inside the stadium. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
All that time, and I never got to watch it. But now, luckily, I do get to go every once in a while and watch the game. So yeah, that was my other interesting job. So thanks for asking. I hope you enjoyed learning some more about me. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for helping out. I wasn't able to ask myself these questions today, so I definitely needed some help, and you guys have really stepped up and helped me out. So with that being said, I'm going to wish everybody that watched a thank you, and we appreciate all of you joining us, and we'll see who is our secret staff member for next week.
Yes.
Bye, Celeste.
Bye.